The 3x5 guy here. We did a bad thing, America. But I'm not going to go all doom and gloom on you. It's not helpful at this juncture. Though yes, I have gone underground for a while. But there's no Wi-Fi down there. Plenty of spiders, however. So I will surface occasionally to do a broadcast. First, I'd like to say Republicans think they won, but nobody won. We will all suffer, even the very rich, from a spiritual point of view. For the time being, I have switched over to a mode of watching history as it happens. For a horror movie fan like me, it's luridly fascinating. Speaking of which, in my video before the election, in homage to the David Bowie album title, I described Republicans as, quote, scary monsters and super creeps, unquote. Post-election, my wife, aka the person who lowers supplies to me in my bunker, reminded me of the title of the David Bowie song, quote, always crashing in the same car. Resonates, doesn't it? Sadly so. As for the threat to democracy, why should America be any different? According to a 2023 Democracy Index by The Economist, only 8% of countries are true democracies. That includes 4 countries in North and South America, but not the United States. However, at least it was in the second tier at that time. It goes without saying that post-election, we're all due to fall a few tiers. And a few tiers will fall. Sorry, couldn't resist that. But what is the United States if it's not a democracy? It has no meaning, no purpose, unless you consider being a playing field, and an unlevel one at that, for capitalism to run rampant upon as a raison d'etre. I guess many countries do, in fact. China, Hungary, Turkey. Why have many Americans soured on democracy, though? In the New York Times, Ben Rhodes of the Obama administration wrote, quote, Democrats understandably have a hard time fathoming why Americans would put our democracy at risk, but we miss the reality that our democracy is part of what angers them. Many voters have come to associate democracy with globalization, corruption, financial capitalism, migration, forever wars, and elites, unquote, and more. In a way, you have to give the Maga movement credit. They raised the resistance 70 million strong that we on the left could only dream of. But when it comes to a target, they are about a country mile wide. Not to be condescending, okay, I am, but they lack the intellectual wherewithal to identify their true oppressors. Instead of rebelling against the rich and privileged, they rebel in support of them and against their fellow man and woman, especially if they're poor. That's not a movement. It's absolute, total prostration to the forces that oppress them. In the future, the 3x5, with varying degrees of success, I'm sure, will try not to focus on Trump the man, or the mouse as the case may be, but his policies. He's kind of like microplastics, saturating the environment, penetrating our pores, our very cells. We're choking on him. But I can't resist one last dig. Jeffrey Epstein, caught on tape about his pal Trump, quote, the moral compass does not exist, unquote. Imagine being on the receiving end of such a pronouncement by someone as vile and base as Epstein. Okay, I'm going back into my bunker. Please stay safe in the interim.